Welcome everyone back to the Crimson 15 podcast. I'm your host, Crimson Sin. If you're enjoying the reviews, be sure to like, sub, and share, and hit that bell for notifications. Follow us over on Twitter at C15 Podcast, and if you like, I got a Discord server set up, and there's a link for that in the description down below. So we're up to episode 4 of Carmen, Sandiego, and right off the bat, this episode kind of sucked. Nothing really happens. It moves the plot a little bit forward, but that's seriously maybe 3 minutes of the episode, and the rest is just another kind of silly adventure. But we open up to Chase, Mr. Dummy himself, just complaining about, we're looking for Carmen Sandiego, can't find her, and of course his little assistant, she's smarter than him, and he always treats her like crap, and his car's out of gas, and he keeps eating these mints. And I brought that up in the last episode. I'm like, is that like a thing? First, I thought they might have been like Tums, like antacids, because of like all the stress. Like he has acid reflux or like a stomach ulcer or something. No, they're just mints, and I guess he's addicted to them. There's a little payoff at the end for the mints, and it's like the dumbest plot device ever. But we'll talk about it when we get there. He is basically going home for the night, and he has to treat his assistant like crap because he's a man, and all men are terrible. He gets those two, Skolder and Molly, the Mulder and Scully, are secret agent people. We find out they're Acme agents, and they knock him out, and they captured him, so I wonder what's going to go on with that. We get to a pretty impressive animation here with the birds flying over the water, and the water sparkling, and then it dips into the ocean. A pretty cool little effect. And we get to Carmen is underwater, and they're looking for something, and then he's tracking her. And then we get, again, my favorite part of the show is the edutainment. We get to learn about Ecuador, where the equator is, and she's like, it's an invisible line. It's a little hokey, and it's a bit ham-fisted, but you know what? I love it. I love this. Maybe some kid's going to learn a little something, just a tiny bit of something. They talk about how high the mountains are, the Andes, and how there was fishermen ships, and they get tuna, and their exports are bananas, and it's information, and I like that. I guess there was a sunken ship, and that's what they're looking for. They're looking for, because it was on one of Vile's records, so they're going to try to get to this sunken vessel. She's underwater, and Zach and Ivy are up above, like in a fishing boat, like being like her support. And of course, Zach's the idiot, and Ivy's smart and brave, and she spots another vessel out there because she's, better, and Zach's just complaining about everything. Get back to Carmen. She finds this sunken boat, and she's swimming around. A pretty okay scene visually. It's a kind of a cool little setup. I thought maybe she was going to run into a shark or something, but nothing like that happens. She finds like a sunken chest, and it has like a block on it and everything. Pretty sure this lock would have been easy enough just to kind of just hit it and with rust and all that, but whatever. She gets inside of it, and there's a bunch of like crap. She finds a doubloon, and straight up Iron Man style, she's like able to scan it and send this information back to player. And she must have some high tech, insane type of technology here, because where player is, she's able to talk to him, and there's like no delay. It's like the 1-to-1 ratio. She has Stark tech. There's no other explanation. It's that good. She finds this one doubloon, and it's just the one. I thought there would be a bunch of them, but it's just one little coin. And we get to meet the mole guy. He was, I guess, there too. So like they keep kind of running into each other at the same exact moment, and they were both looking for the ship at the same exact moment. It's just like a little too many coincidences. And so they start fighting over this one coin, like there wouldn't be more than one. Let her keep that one, you go get the other one, But we get a kind of okay fight scene. It's an underwater fight scene, but the technology has like all these boosters and everything. And she's basically in an Iron Man suit. We get back to the surface, and it's the other guy, the goat guy, and he's able to jump from his like oil tanker type vessel to their fishing boat, and he's perfectly fine. And it's just where this gets silly again. Like they're like Saturday morning cartoon silly villains and not like serious villains. He confronts Zach and Ivy, and we get back underwater to their little chasing. They're chasing after this the doubloon. They're getting it back and forth, taking it from each other. Then a fish ends up swallowing it. And even Carmen Sandiego, like everyone else who's watching the show, is like, well, that just happened. Like it's like admitting that it was stupid. I don't like when shows do that, where you admit it's silly and if the characters in the show admit it's silly somehow, it makes it better. It actually makes it worse. Get back to the surface, and our goat friend is questioning Zach and Ivy, and it's just like a silly back and forth. You don't look like you're from around here, because their accents, and they're white as a bone and red hair. They're in Ecuador. You couldn't get any more opposite of a local Ecuadorian person. And he just keeps saying, Jack keeps saying dumb stuff. Oh, the Boston Harbor was full. And then, Ivy's will keep telling him to like shush, like, stop, you're giving away our cover, because she's smart, he's dumb. And our goat friend, why wouldn't he just? I can understand that he's not going to be able to just kill them, but in all actuality, there's no reason why he shouldn't. Why doesn't he just knock them out and get them out of there? Who cares? He shows his face and everything. I thought they're supposed to be like these thieves and the secret ninja training and all this stuff, and they just expose themselves. It's just weird, just for lame jokes that aren't funny. We get back down underwater, and they're chasing after it's a yellow fin tuna, and those things can swim fast as crap. I'm surprised they didn't bring that up, how these things are like underwater bullets. They can swim so fast. But it gets caught by an actual fishing vessel, and so they lost it. They're chasing back after it, and Carmen pulls one of the like the airline to the mole guy's suit, so it starts to fill up with water. I'm like, she just freaking killed him. That'd been great. Carmen, the murderer. So he has to go back to the surface because he doesn't have any way. He can't breathe underwater anymore. Carmen shoots the largest and most easily identifiable tracking devices, things like a foot across, to track the boat or whatever, and it blinks and everything in the most ridiculous kind of way. And of course, our goat guy believes their stupid story and is going to just leave the boat with Zach and Ivy. And then you hear on the radio, Carmen's going to need your help, and not want to be the Carmen Sandiego. And they're like, no, it's Carmen San Francisco. Why even do that? It's such a silly little thing. Then he has a hook, so I'm like, is he going to kill them? If he wasn't interrupted, would he have killed Zach and Ivy? But our mole friend is out of the water, and he's flailing around like he doesn't know how to swim. I can understand that he was running out of air and he had to hold his breath, but he's full-blown panicking. Why? Why is he panicking like that? So the goat guy's going to go save him, and they just shove him off the boat, and they get away. I'm like, oh, okay, that was weird. They get to dock because they track that boat to a dock, and they want to get that fish before it gets to market, so they don't, less steps they have to take. We get Carmen here looking pretty good in her little shorts here, but they're talking about what they're going to do with this doubloon, what it is, because she took scans of it, and I guess it came from, it's one of the first minted coins from Ecuador and everything, and it's super rare, and if Vile wants it, of course, they're going to want it too. But some archaeologists, of course, it's a woman, because anyone who's smart and a good person, it's going to be the females, and all the males are dummies. So she introduces herself, and I think, I heard you over talking about that coin. They had a special name, I forget what it was, but she's like, oh yeah, and then she kind of tells her, it may be rare, but it's not worth a lot. Its cultural value outweighs its monetary value, which is true of a lot of things. Just because something's rare doesn't mean it's expensive, and things are only as expensive as what people are willing to pay for them. And that's true in everything. So that's a nice little lesson. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to go find this coin for this lady. And she believes her instantly. What if she was lying to her? Wouldn't that have been funny? It really was worth something. And he just gave this lady $1 million coin. But we get back to Chase. I guess he got captured by the Acme agents, and they tie him to a chair or whatever. They put some cuffs on him. And they're in this little room, and they drop this pen on the ground. And at first he's like, oh, you think this can hold me? The lady reaches in her pocket, and then he gets all scared. Oh, no, don't hurt me. And it's just a pen holographer thing. And then we get the original Acme, the chief. It's a callback to that original stuff. I think that's cool. Whenever they do stuff that reminds me of the original show and or game, I like that kind of thing. Then she kind of explains herself how they're, they can help each other. You've been chasing Carmen Sandiego. We've been looking for her, and they kind of have a little they're going to end up working together. We find out that Goat and Badger Mole guy, I forget what his name is, they had a tracker on that boat too. We're going to get this coin back, and it's Professor Maelstrom, the old guy, and like, oh, we're gonna get you this coin. If Carmen's after it, it's got to be worth a ton of money. And they're like, oh, you can buy your own, yacht and all these things you can do with it. No, he doesn't want. He doesn't want to sell the coin. He wants to melt it down to make a pair of cufflinks, so he can make that other professor lady, the fashion lady, to make her jealous. Is this what Vile does? Are they this international shadow organization controlling governments and economies, and or are they just a bunch of dummies who he just wants to make cufflinks to make another teacher jealous? That's the goal. See, that's that silly cartoon crap that isn't necessary. You don't have to have these really dumb storylines. You can just have it to where, oh, they want to sell this thing, and then they're gonna auction it off to the highest bidder or use it as a bargaining chip to get something else. No, solid gold cufflinks that he could just go get, but it just wouldn't be made from that stupid coin. And if they're not valuable, couldn't he just get this coin anywhere? Whatever, it's ridiculous. Get back to Carmen and Zach and Ivy, and they're driving, I guess they're going up that mountain because that's where all the fish deliveries have to go up over the mountains. And another kind of cool little entertainment, edutainment type situation. Like, oh, when you go further up in the altitude, you got to get immaculated you can get sick. Like if you're very lightheaded, the oxygen's a lot thinner, and you have to go slowly. You can't just run up a mountain; you're end up passing out. And like, oh, don't you have to take your time? And of course, I'm like, well, I'm thinking, okay, they wouldn't bring this up altitude sickness unless someone's gonna get it. We get back to Chase talking to the chief, and they kind of have a little back and forth and everything, and then they're explaining who they are. Acme secret agents. We're looking for shadow organizations, Vile, and all that stuff. And she's in a hologram. She's walking around. How does she know where she is in that room? And because Chase is not being holographically projected to wherever she is, so how is she seeing him? Like it would have to be a two-way thing, but this looks like a one-way thing. Whatever. I don't know. I'm trying to make sense of something that's not going to make any sense. And they have she pokes him in the head. But she's a hologram. She's like, oh, don't move. If I move too quickly, it's going to, like, basically fry your brain. It's like, oh, no, I'm just kidding. They're talking about these serious things, and they have this silly little moment. It's funny, but it's not. It shouldn't fit in something that's supposed to be more serious. So it's just like a big waste of time. We get back to the fish market, and we see, they're walking around. And, of course, Zach, oh, fish stink, and oh, it's nasty. And Carmen's the one who ends up getting altitude sickness, and she kind of like passes out. I'm like, oh wow, no man could take Carmen down. It's altitude sickness. That's the thing that takes Carmen down. She passes out. We get back to that parking garage where Chase was first taken away, and it's nice that his assistant is worried about him because she's like, where the hell did he go? His car's still here. And she's like calling him his phone and leaving messages. It's kind of endearing. It's nice that even though he's such a jerk and an ass to her, she still cares about him in a way that I don't want him, to get kidnapped or hurt. We get back to Carmen. She's like in a medical tent there because, she's passed out. And then she's kind of having like a mini hallucination where she thinks it's that PE teacher lady. Again, I forget her name. And she's like, oh, I know it was you. You're the one who saved me back in Argentina and everything. I always knew it was you. But in actuality, it was that archaeologist lady is basically, go here, take this oxygen mask. You're suffering from altitude sickness. You got to rest. We get back to the interrogation of Chase. And they basically tell her, hey, you're not even part of Interpol anymore. You're an Acme agent now. Here's your verified Acme card because you're going to be working with us now. Get back to Carmen, and she's like, oh, she wakes up, and she's like, oh, it was you. And she kind of admits, yeah, I was tailing you because she thinks they're scavengers because they kind of are, the thieves. And she's like, I'm not going to let you get away with my coin. And when she said my coin, it's like, what the coin of my people, I think would have been a better line. It almost seemed a little selfish, like she wanted it for herself. Of course, Carmen gets up, and she's like, oh, you have to let me help you, but you kind of have to be out of my way. She picks up her bag. She's still feeling woozy. She falls over, and all her like little gadgets fall everywhere. And that's when she's like, yeah, are these like the tools of a coin collector? She's like, no, just don't worry about it. I'm like, turn around, you didn't see nothing. But that's pretty much what she tells her. I'll get you your coin. Just don't ask me any damn questions. They're walking. Zach and Ivy are walking around the fish market. They're using like a scanner to find the coin, and of course, Zach is no help. He's a big dummy moron, and Ivy's the one doing all the work. And she finds the coin, and so I guess Zach's only ability is to drive the vehicles and or make stupid jokes, and it's Ivy's the one who does everything because girls do everything great, boys do everything wrong. Carmen shows up and she's in full get up and everything, which is nice. And they're like, "Oh, we found the coin. It's in that fish right there." And that happens to be the one they're taking out to the auction room. Why would they just grab it right then and there? What was preventing them from just taking it? And also, dude, these just like in the last episode, do people in these countries just let random white people walk around who don't look like they belong in this area? Like, can you just walk into an auction house and just touch everything? I know there is like a preview section for any auction where you can look at the catch of the day and everything, then you go out to the audience to make the bids. But there's no one else looking at fish. There would have been a better scene if it would have been like, oh, this is the preview where you're allowed to look at the gills and everything, but you're not allowed to make any official bids till it goes up in the auction. And we will steal it during the preview section. That could have been another little edutainment type thing. Like, oh, that's how auction houses work. But it's just empty. There's no one else there. It gets out to the auction floor. I'm like, okay. Carmen's like, I see the goat guys look up in the Raptors, and no one else knows him. He's up there. She's like, I can't go out there. He'll spot me. So you need to go out there, and you guys need to win this bid. Do whatever you got to do to win the bid. And, it goes, I guess, like the first bid's like 100 something, whatever. And then Zach just like, I bid $100,000. And even Carmen is like, oh my God, what a moron. Because that's suspicious as all hell. And of course, the goat guy's like, yeah, that must be our fish because there's no way anyone would bid that much money. These tunas go for a ton of money, but not that much money. Our mole guy just cuts a hole in the ground and it just falls through. There's no help, police, someone call the cops, nothing. They just let this happen and no, like the workers don't react to this theft of a pretty hefty because that bid was like $100,000 or whatever. That they're owed that bid, so nothing happens to that. And our mole man's running off with the fish. Carmen throws like an eel, like a bolo, because that's exactly what would happen if you threw a fish at someone. Fish is bouncing around. They're having a little fight over it. Goat man wraps it up in a net, and Carmen even tells him straight up, hey, that thing's not worth anything. It's worth more to the people than it does for money, so Vile's not going to want this coin that probably sell for maybe, a couple $1,000s. It's not like this multi-million-dollar thing. Of course he doesn't care because Maelstrom told him to get it. That's what I'm going to do. I do what I'm told. We get a silly action scene. There's Ivy and Zach are like, oh, time, it's clobbering time. And he still has his little bidding thing, like the little thing that has your number on it. Like, you're just going to fight him with that. Mole guy has like the big fish, which is like a 90-pound fish. So that if you got hit with that, it would hurt. He swings it at them. They duck. Whoa! Spins around, ends up knocking out his own teammate because men are idiots and dumb and silly. Why wouldn't he just use his claws? Why would he try to hit you with the fish? Whatever. The coin comes flying out. If it was down in its stomach, I don't even think just the jostling it around, they would have to cut it open. But it ends up falling out. Carmen grabs it. Catch of the day. Jesus, Ivy. Such stupid these little quips she does. Our goat man and mole guy are like, oh, we got the fish, let's get at her, and they just walk away. Didn't they think it was funny that maybe Carmen wasn't pursuing them? That she just let them walk away? Maybe, just maybe, she has what she's looking for. Of course, that's the end of the fight scene. They got the coin back. We get back to our parking garage. And remember we talked about the mints thing? This is the payoff for the mints. The mints, I guess when they captured Chase, I was wondering, like, where did they take him? They just took him to like a utility closet that's in the parking garage. So I'm surprised she didn't overhear them talking, but she finds the mints and like Hansel and effing Gretel, there's a little line of mints leading all the way to the door. That is pretty ridiculous. Oh my God, that is so stupid. But basically Chase is like not really agreeing to becoming an Acme agent, but he guess he has no choice. And they don't lock the door either or block it or anything. It's like wide open. And she opens the door and she sees like this hologram. Chase is in a chair and she's like, I've never seen this woman. And of course, they're not stupid. They know that this is her assistant. And, women praising time. Oh, your sister, she's pretty clever. So I'm assuming she becomes an agent too. They don't show that, but I'm just assuming that's what ends up happening. Carmen gives the lady her doubloon back and like, here you go, this is for your people. I'm a good person. And she thanks her and everything. And there's just like, hey, when you were knocked out, she basically, she's from Argentina. And she's like, well, when you were sleeping, you were kind of talking to someone that might have been close to you, and you mentioned you were from Argentina. And then she kind of like, yeah, we kind of went our separate ways. Maybe I do go back home. Maybe if I go back to Argentina, because she was afraid to go back home. But player gets a hit on some missing art, and she's like, oh, wait, Buenos Aires is going to have to wait. And every time I hear Buenos Aires, I always think of Starship Troopers. It just comes to my mind. It was in that movie, like a meteor ends up hitting there. It's really funny. Check it out. It's a sci-fi movie. It's honky tonk as all hell, but it's a lot of fun. And they sail off into the sunset. And that's the end of this episode. Besides the fact of Acme being introduced and everything, and pushing that plot line forward that Chase joins them, so they're going to be more, how they're going to try to go after Val. That subplot is the only thing in this episode that's worth anything, because everything else is just how stupid men are, how dumb and goofy the guys are when they're fighting. When Carmen fought Tigress, it was a fight, and Tigress kind of beat her up a little bit, like knocked her down and everything. But when the fight between Carmen and the mole guy and the goat guy, it was like a joke. They couldn't even touch her. Like, it wasn't even a fight whatsoever. I'm kind of going to see that that's going to be the theme. Does any guy ever give Carmen a battle like the way Tigress did in the last episode? Or, she gets taken out by altitude sickness. Like, well, I guess she has a weak constitution when it comes to being in high altitudes. I guess that's her one and only weakness. But this episode is worse than the last. It's kind of back at the beginning. If I had to give it a number, 5 being average, below average, we're looking at like a 3.5. Just a couple little story things. A lot of stuff that didn't make any damn sense. Zach being a moron again. So yeah, I should have episode 5 is next. And people told me episode 6 is really good. But the people who told me that also said I was racist because I don't like Carmen Sandiego because she is of Latin origin. And I'm Hispanic, but whatever. I guess I'm always a racist if you don't like a certain character. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this episode 6. But we got our next one's 5, and I should have that one up in the next couple of days. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you like the reviews, the long format reviews, sub, share, like, hit the bell for notifications, join the Discord. There's a link in the description below, and I'll catch you guys next time. Crimson Sin here. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like, sub, and share. Also, for the most up-to-date information about the podcast, follow us on Twitter at C15 Podcast.